Good morning to you and welcome to NTV Uganda, turning on your world. Now, today is a very special day. Yes, on your calendar, it says the 5th of October, 2024. However, when you Google that date, one of the things that are going to come up top of your search engine is the fact that today is World Teachers Day. So today we get to celebrate teachers. My name is Priscilla Regina Naroga, and happy Teachers Day to all the teachers that actually taught me. I was thinking about it this morning, and the teachers that were coming to my mind were teachers that I actually got to interact with in my formative years. I'm talking about P3, P4 onwards. And then I didn't have a proper record, an account of teachers that were P2, nursery, kindergarten. And well, I know that that's the most time that we are developing as children, but then we tend to forget those teachers in this equation. So today, on this 5th of October 2024, my special shout out is to the teachers in the early childhood development end of the education sector. You, ladies and gentlemen, do a commendable job. My name is Priscilla Regina Naroga, and here on NTV Uganda, we are bringing you a live talk show regarding Teachers Day and how it's actually being celebrated. But also, what are the plights and challenges that are facing teachers today, especially in Uganda and Africa by and large. To give you the backbone of it, World Teachers Day is celebrated annually on 5th of October, and all teachers around the globe get to be celebrated. Now, it also commemorates the anniversary of the adoption of the 1966 International Labour Organization and UNESCO recommendation concerning the status of teachers, which I trust that the status has changed over the course of time. Now, this also set as a benchmark regarding the rights of teachers, the responsibilities of teachers, and the standards for their initial preparation and further education. It also concerns itself with recruitment, employment, teaching, and learning conditions of teachers globally. Now, the recommendation concerning the status of higher education teaching personnel was adopted in 1997, and this was also to complement the 1966 recommendation by covering teaching personnel in higher education. So it's upon that background that we bring you the conversation that is focusing on the theme valuing teacher voices for 2024 towards a new social contract for education. I know that many of you have seen the stories, especially that we have done here on NTV, regarding the plight of teachers, the challenges of teachers, salary divisions through government. Well, we are glad that we do have spokespersons on a national level, government level, and global level to help us break down what that looks like today. What is the urgent call that needs to be addressed when it comes to teachers' voices? When you say teachers' voices, what does it mean, and up to what level must it be heard? I'm talking about a teacher's voice. Well, I do have voices with me, joining me on the panel for this discussion. On behalf of government, we do have Mr. Chikomeko Joseph, who's the Commissioner, Teacher Education and Teacher Development. This is under the Ministry of Education and Sports. I'm going to allow him seed salutations. Good morning to you.
Yes, good morning.
How are you?
I'm okay.
Yes.
Nice being here.
Your salutations to our audience?
Actually, mind just sending messages to teachers, all the teachers in this country, especially the ones even who taught me right from primary 1 to primary 7, because that's when I was kind of interacting with the teachers directly, because thereafter teachers were distancing themselves from us. Either we are doing it or they were doing it. But I thank the teachers who are out there serving this nation, ensure that at least we develop human capital that's required for this country.
All right. Speaking of serving this nation, Mr. Zadok, thank you so much for the service to the teachers, making sure that all parts of Uganda are covered under UNATU as far as caring for teachers, the concerns of teachers, advocating for what they need in such a time and era as 2024. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Your salutations, please.
Good morning, viewers and the teachers over there, everywhere, across the country. We are so grateful that today we are here to talk about teacher issues, and it is our prayer and the wish that all teachers converge at the different centers in every local government to join together and celebrate our day. I wish you all the best. I will be joining you shortly after this program at the different points. Thank you. all the best.
You're most welcome. And he is also national chairperson for the UNATU, that's Uganda National Teachers Union. But of course, we also do have a global partner in this conversation, UNESCO. And so from the head of office, UNESCO Project Office here in Kampala, Mr. Drachebo, it's a pleasure to have you once again in this conversation. And good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Priscilla, and good morning, all the viewers, all the listeners. I would like to start by congratulating all the teachers who are listening to this program and all those who are in service, all those members of the community, the families. Would like to ask you to join me in congratulating our teachers on this very important day when we are celebrating all our teachers. I think all of us who are seated here have passed through the hands of teachers in one way or the other. So we'd like to congratulate and we'd like to thank them, and we'd like to appeal to the community to come together and support the efforts of the teachers. This year is special. It's special because we would like to celebrate valuing the voices of the teachers in order to establish a new social contract. So you are most welcome and congratulations.
All right, so I'll start with you as one who has a global oversight over this conversation, World Teachers Day in particular, and looking about the strides that we have taken since 1966 in making sure that this community of teachers is well considered as far as planning is concerned, from a global perspective to a national level right down to the grassroots.
Yeah, thank you very much, Priscilla. And once again, congratulations. UNESCO, together with the ILO, International Labour Organization, and also UNICEF, designated 5th of October as a day, as International Day for the teachers. So we celebrate it every October 5th in order to recognize teachers in their various capacities. So since then, a lot of effort has been done through the global partnership, through UNESCO, through UNICEF and other development partners, in order to live to the commitments that were made into the declaration that you've just alluded to. So just before even trying to say how far we have moved, it's important to understand in the context why actually was it important in the first place to designate 5th of October as World Teachers Day. 4 things. One, this day was designated so that we recognize and value teachers for their contribution that they are making in the society. As I said earlier on, we all know those who have gone to school or through school, we all pass through the hand of teacher or teachers. So this day was to recognize that, to appreciate them for what they are doing. The second thing is also to be able to advocate for the rights and the needs of the teachers. I'm here sitting with my colleague from the union, and I think they have been speaking about this. How do we ensure that we advocate for the rights and the needs of the teachers, to give them the space to speak, but also to appeal to the community, to the government, to everybody to support the teacher. The third one is, of course, this day is to recall and to help us to recall some of the challenges that we face in the education sector. In the education sector, the first step towards education is the teacher. As the saying goes, the quality of the education that you have is only as good as the quality of the teachers that you have. So we take a stock of how far we have gone in addressing the challenges that we are facing as a country, as a nation, as a globe that is affecting the teachers. So the last reason why this day was designated is to promote international cooperation. Cooperation among the teachers across the countries, across various continents, to ensure that whatever form of education is being done cuts across, so to promote that. Now with that hindsight, over the years from the day it was designated, we've realized a lot of steps have been taken, and UNESCO and other development partners have also come to take stock. So every other year studies are conducted, and studies are conducted in order to assess the quality and the supply of the teachers globally. I can say that there's a remarkable improvement in terms of the quality, in terms of the quantity and the supply of the teachers. But still, there is still a shortfall, because the recent statistics show that up to now we still need about 44 million, teachers globally to fill that space in order to have the appropriate ratio that we require in a class. We still need, the world still needs to recruit over 44. So we can really reflect on that as one of the key things that we need to address. There are also challenges that are emerging qualitatively, talking about the welfare and the well-being of the teachers. Are we retaining the teachers? In most countries, to find teachers' absenteeism is increasing. Teacher, attrition is high. Teachers are demotivated because they feel they are not being recognized. So whereas the progress is made towards that, there's still a call to action by all of us to ensure that we step up this. And that's why when we sit here today to celebrate the World Teachers Day in Uganda, we still would like to have that conversation. We like to engage with the government, we like to engage with development partners, with the community and the families to ensure that we hearten and support our teachers to get the kind of education we want from the teachers that we have.
All right. Mr. Tumuhumbise, now in that regard, he has given us the general, observations towards rights and needs of teachers. But which cases are actually unique, particularly to Uganda, that you are dealing with from the union level?
As Uganda National Teachers Union, we are concerned with, one, advocating for the improved welfare of the teachers. Because we are aware that if the welfare is not at the expected level, the performance levels also get affected. We are concerned with how they serve, how they are recruited, how they are remunerated. We are concerned even with the way our children learn. We don't end in the serving the interest of the teachers alone, because as teachers we are there for the good of the learners. So we advocate for the improved learning conditions, teaching and learning conditions. So we go beyond what most people think. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So let's talk about, for example, the wages that you talk about. Most recently, the havoc has been the division between science teachers and arts teachers, and quite a number of industrial acts, tried to address that issue towards getting the attention of government in reminding them that at the end of the day, these are teachers. How far has that fight gone for you as the union?
The fight is still ongoing, because as we talk, there was a collective bargaining agreement that was signed between public service unions and the employer, the government. And the time frames and timelines within which payments or enhancements would be made were agreed upon as stipulated in the collective bargaining agreement. But along the way, at a certain point in time, the employer government deviated from the terms and conditions contained within the collective bargaining agreement and started segregative salary enhancement, especially among the teachers, where it took up the science teachers, and the salaries were increased by over 400%, where it put now the science and graduate teacher to earn 4 million against his or her counterpart teaching humanities at 1.2 million. Those of diploma are now science and 2.8. Those of arts are in 790,000. So the situation is actually so hostile because the working conditions are the same. We go to the same markets. If now we are coming here, this one is a scientist, I'm an artist. If we board maybe a taxi, they are not going to ask about what I teach in order to determine what I'm going to pay. So this is affecting the performance levels among the teachers because one, the arts teachers and those of primary are discouraged, they are not earning. Those of science are not finding the working conditions and environments easy and soft for them. And actually this has brought us to a situation where you see most teachers applying for early retirement. As we talk, almost on a monthly basis, I think the PS Minister of Public Service is getting over thousands and thousands of applications for those intending to retire. What is interesting is that those applying to retire early include those of science whose salaries were increased, as well as those of arts or humanities who are discouraged with the situation. There are those who have remained, but the concentration is so limited, because you cannot expect a teacher to be effective at work when he is teaching, well knowing that he holds the same qualifications with you, but you have been favored, you have had your salary enhanced 400 times or percent, and he has remained the same way for years. You cannot expect a teacher to be effective when he's teaching your children while his children are at home. You cannot expect that teacher to be effective when he's not sure of whether he's going to get a meal for the next day, whether he's going to get rent or transport to and from school. So that makes them feel tired of the profession and want to quit and possibly try other things.
Okay.
And therefore, that affects the general performance of the learners, because there's no way a demotivated teacher will be able to teach a learner and the learner achieves what he expects to get from that teaching.
Mr. Chikomeko, on behalf of government, I know that currently there's some bans on recruitment for public servants. So I know that it's affecting the education sector. The low salaries or the salary discrepancies that we have just talked about. We need to look at the realities that there's increased workload, especially with the changes in curriculum in lower secondary. All these challenges are sitting on the Ministry of Education's shoulders and must be addressed. How are you addressing them currently?
Thank you so much. I don't want to say that the load has increased, as per se, but the issue is the mindset of the teachers and those others who are actually involved in the teaching profession. You find that whereas the curriculum has changed, we tend to resist it. Teachers tend to resist it, thinking that there is too much load at the implementation of that new curriculum. But when I look at the new curriculum itself, which is competence-based, I take it back to the indigenous education, the education which we acquired from our homes by the parents. The difference between the new curriculum and actually it's no longer new because it's the curriculum we're having, right? So it requires a teacher to be in a position to translate this information into reality. Not a matter of blowing out information, what you have read. Now, if a teacher is not in position to translate, possibly maybe he's not understanding because that's not how it was taught, okay? But others, once the teacher is able to translate, then everything becomes what? Very easy. The rest is for the learner, okay? It's not all about knowing, information is provided, but it is the doing, okay? And then from the doing, there is also the being. How do I do it? Who am I to do it, and how will I do it, and using what? That's very, very critical. So what we have done as government, it's not only increasing the salaries of wherever science teachers or other teachers, but we are training these teachers. The teachers are being trained to ensure that they move away from the conventional way of delivery of learning to the modern one, and which is not even modern, the very, very first kind of learning model, that is the indigenous, right? The learner is left alone to discover, to explore, but with the teacher supporting, facilitating, right? It's so unfortunate that we seem not to be understanding the teaching profession. Yesterday I was somewhere, and then I said, I think what we need to do is to go back to our teachers, and then they get to understand who a teacher is. What are the duties and the tasks of a teacher? So maybe there are those who are in the teaching profession when they shouldn't be there. You study fine. Studying, going to a university, and then you come out with a bachelor's degree. That is one thing. But really, do you have the passion for teaching? What does a teacher do? I remember my teacher. The teacher who taught me in primary 1, she's still living. very joy teacher, Mrs. Lima, in here, just very close. She loved. To date, you meet her. She has that. She's teaching. She's old, but then the children come around. So you must have the passion for teaching, not tagging the work to money. The issue of mixing income with the work, the job you're doing. Do the work first, be appreciated. Now we're here appreciating the teachers. I appreciate all the teachers. Whatever they're doing is so good. And when you look at what is going on in the unions are there to fight for. And when I hear the word fight for, then it's a struggle. It's not the dialogue. We're supposed to learn dialoguing. Understand, when you are calm, it's not money. There are so many ways. Government has tried its best. We are trying to put up accommodation in schools. We don't have the resources, but we are trying accommodation in schools. Such that teachers are housed there. Their feeding is being worked out, so that it improves. All this is being done for the well-being of what? Of the teacher as government. Okay? Studies are being enhanced. His Excellency, that is on the 5th of October last year at Kololo, talked of the scheme of service. Should be, put right, that the teacher is recruited, then becomes a senior teacher, maybe a principal teacher, like that, so that there is that motivation. So government is trying to do a lot, but especially when it comes to training, to make them more competent.
Okay.
I love the job.
You mentioned something about teacher, and maybe people need to be reminded who is a teacher and what are their primary roles and responsibilities. Maybe you could educate us on that. Now,
when you look at a teacher, who is a teacher? Leave alone being a person who has undergone a professional training, the teaching profession, registered, and then allowed to practice. But then the cadre of a teacher, their duties of a teacher, okay? Number one, is to plan, prepare for teaching and learning. Under the preparation for teaching and learning, there is a lot. Number one is interpretation of the curriculum as a small task. Now, if a teacher cannot interpret the curriculum, it becomes very difficult for that one to teach. Okay? There is determining of the methods. The competences you're going to teach. The curriculum is there, but it may not give you the competences learners are supposed to acquire in that. Right? What materials are you going to use? They may be there in the school, they may not be there. But then, how do you get them? That is just a few that is under the preparation of teaching and learning. Then there is delivery of learning. A teacher is the one responsible for even organizing the classroom, because you know how the learning is going to take place. You don't take it as a church that every day people come in and then they sit the way they sit. You have organized. You know what you want the learners to learn. So organize the class with your learners. Okay? How are they going to sit? What are you going to use? At what time are you doing what? But some of those things, there is a lot that is now under. There is assessment of learning. Assessment is not a matter of giving examinations. No, why are you assessing? What are you going to assess? How are you going to develop the items for assessment? Okay? Which materials are you going to use to ensure that assessment takes place? There are so many things. A teacher does guidance and counseling. In that, there are so many. Maybe the teachers also need to be guided and counseled. Maybe we are not doing our work as a ministry. They need guidance and counseling in order for them to do it. There is a duty of continuous professional development. A teacher shouldn't be stagnant. A teacher is a researcher. A teacher must continuously look for knowledge, new knowledge. Okay. That's very important in order to cope up with what is going on in this country. Okay? There are other duties. So this one, we have got a profile. Actually, I'm trying because I participate in the development with support from UNESCO. We need to disseminate this information. The competence profiles, the teacher should know. One joins the teaching profession well knowing what he's going to do. A teacher must market him or herself. I started as a grade 5 teacher. I'm a commissioner, heading 2 departments at the ministry. Teachers must be resilient. You don't give up just like that. But today teachers, if there's something small hiccup here, then one wants to give up. Now one is complaining here. I urge my teachers out there, do not complain. Self-motivation. Who tries to wake up in the morning and go to work? First of all, the motivation is within you.
So
and then later,
you're
the
talking
external comes
about
out.
self-motivation, and you also earlier made a statement and said the teachers shouldn't look at this as a job that should lead them to income. So income should not be their primary focus as to why they are in this education. But how else are they going to be basically motivated if it's not through the income that they're getting? Which goes back to the rights and needs of teachers, Mr. Drachabo. In that regard, how do we motivate the teachers? How do we encourage, especially the young teachers and those that would have wanted or dreamt of becoming teachers one day, but looking at the current environment within our country, it's not attractive enough for them to get into this sphere of influence?
Thank you very much, Priscilla, and thanks, colleagues, for raising these issues. First of all, I would like to paint a little bit positive picture for teachers who are out there, that our discussion in any way should not be a reflection of a state of gloom. There are actually very many committed teachers, very motivated teachers, teachers who spend all their time moving for money, giving the education even under really conditions that are not very conducive. They're there. We recognize, and that's why we're here today to say thank you, teacher, and thank you, everybody, for what you are doing. And that said, we're saying we would like to have an engagement to make it better, to make the environment better for the teacher to operate in various ways. So in order to do that in a very systematic way, UNESCO, working with, of course, the government, develop what we call social dialogue, teacher social dialogue framework. And that social dialogue framework is structured way of engaging with the teachers to try to bring out the issues that the teachers feel is affecting their delivery of their services. So this is done in a structured way, in such a way that we try to encourage the teachers to talk and to delve into the matters that they experience on a daily basis in order to try to see how we resolve the issues. And we've been doing that together with the Teachers Union and also together with the Minister of Education for quite some time. And this year, a lot of dialogues were being taking place. And in that dialogue, a lot of issues were raised. And one of them that the Commissioner just alluded to, which is very important, another form of motivation just beyond the monetary motivation, is the fact that they would like to see the teachers' scheme of service implemented. And this was a statement actually made, it was actually an order by the head of state last year on the 5th of October, directing the ministry that the scheme of service to come into place. And the scheme of service basically means that you recognize and reward the teachers and you promote the teacher based on what the teacher is doing. You don't have to be, when you are recruited as a primary teacher or the first time recruited as a teacher, you should not, your next step should not just be to be a deputy head teacher. There should be ladder in a hierarchy that you are promoted. You could become a principal teacher, a senior teacher, you know, just like it is in other professions. And all those levels are rewarded with some kind of motivation. So that when you are a very good physics teacher, for example, in a classroom, you should be recognized and it should be rewarded. There's no need for them to pick you from being a good physics teacher and make you a head teacher where you will not perform. So that scheme of service was very well thought through, and it is something that I think once implemented is going to address a lot of the issues. And I can tell you with confidence, with interaction with the teachers, that not all the teachers are demotivated because they have low pay. For some of them, it is the issue of recognition. They want to be appreciated. They would like to be matched to where they fit. We have this in a lot of other professions. The military, you start with a rank, but you climb across the rank. You know, the motivation increment may be small, but the fact that they recognize you and they reward you to move to the next level is a very key thing. So this is one of the things that I think will be very, very good step if it is implemented. The other ways that came up from the conversation and discussion is also some issues to do with the what I would call the soft skills, including financial literacy for the teachers. So that's been addressed through continuous professional development. You know, traditionally we know that when a teacher is trained, he has left the teacher training institution and he or she goes to classroom. And in the classroom, teaches or she teaches until he or she retires. But this is a life of a passion. And this life of a passion in the modern world is just more than doing what this person is doing. So because the teachers lack some soft skills that are necessary for living, sometimes they make mistakes that make it very difficult for them. We're just conversing how even the enhancement of the salaries of the teachers have made some of them to make some decisions which they are regretting. Because you now think you are going to earn a little bit more money, you go and get quick loans, and you get the quick loans and you put it in business, which you are not able to manage, and because you are not able to manage, you don't pay back the loan, and the bank is actually chasing you for that. So it sets the environment for you difficult to operate. So addressing simple things like to educate the teachers, giving them the financial literacy, giving them the ICT competence, because we're in an era of ICT now. COVID taught us, and many things we have learned. There's a way now people can transmit knowledge quickly through ICT. You'll find a lot of the teachers do not have those basic skills. So they're struggling. We try to work with the Ministry of Education, the commissioners here, to put in what we call teacher management information system, to reduce the burden of the teachers having to fill manual forms to get their certification. So if you are a teacher, you just go onto the TIMIS, Teacher Management Information System, fit all your information. But when we moved around to try to empower to find that, we realized that teachers they do not even have the basic skill of how to open a laptop, many of them are struggling. So we now need to address some of those issues which are not within the normal frame of the teacher's training through continuous professional development, so that we address the holistic being of the teacher. So all things like that, and also giving the teachers the space to express themselves in a more structured way. I don't like very much the language of fighting, because it's not about the fight now. It's more about, it's the dialogue, okay? It's giving the teachers the space to express what is in their heart, because you know, they have issues, but they do not have a platform to raise it. So we create an opportunity for them to dialogue. And out of the dialogue, issues are now emerging and saying, how do we deal with this? And interestingly, you'll find many of them are actually solutions. They provide very good solutions. We know, for instance, now that through that engagement, there's already an arrangement through the government and the unions that the teachers' circle, the savings scheme is in place to allow teachers the opportunity to go and borrow money in a friendly way. So if we do that, teachers are going to be more motivated. They don't have to go to commercial banks and borrow money with a very high interest rate. So things like that. Lastly, there's the issue of the teacher's pension and transition from payroll to the pension. It's been one of the high areas of concern for many teachers, because many teachers you have taught for over all these years, and you start becoming so jittery because you say, when I'm going to retire, will I get my pension? So if you can ensure that there is a system to transit from payroll to pension immediately, many of the teachers in the service will be motivated. Because I work knowing that when my time comes, automatically my income is not going to be cut off. It will just be migrating from payroll to the... And that has been a very big challenge. We have teachers who have retired, and after retiring, they even spent 10 years trying to chase their little money, and it becomes a huge thing. And yet digitally, it is possible for us to do. So those the voices that are coming, and that's the dialogue that we like to...
All right, so in short, in as much as we know that we do have government that should take care of the holistic well-being of teachers in their ability not to do that as and when necessary. They're not being able to be funded through the Ministry of Education to address those issues in real time. You are giving us a narrative that we should be able to find other ways to mitigate the issues that teachers are currently facing and find socioeconomic solutions that can enable them still stay in the practice and enjoy their passion, while also making sure that they're not breaking their backs. Chairperson to the union.
Even just before he comes in, Priscilla, just imagine even in a church where the pastor or the priest talking and taking an opportunity to say, I thank all the teachers that has no money value. But I can tell you, it is something, this is very powerful. Just for the community, you meet a teacher and you stand and say, hello teacher, I appreciate you. And as we're talking now, I'm encouraging people to do that.
To do that.
Yes.
All right, all across your social media platforms, today being the day, World Teachers Day, we implore you to go on your social media platforms. If you do have a photo of that teacher, please post it and do share a beautiful message of the teacher. If you don't have a photo, well, tell us the story of the teachers that had impact and influence on the person that you have become today. Chairperson, turning to you, all things being said and done, we also have to look at the National Teachers Policy and how it can be used as a tool to address some of the issues that have been brought through this conversation this morning in order to uplift the profession of teachers in Uganda.
Thank you so much, Priscilla. Maybe before that, I would like to, maybe make clarification. Mr. Commissioner talked of the union is fighting. I don't know whether the word fight came from during this discussion. I want to be informed about whether the word advocacy is synonymous to fight, because I used the word advocacy. Two, he talked about workload, and he's saying that the workload issues are not there. I want to imagine if I had a school, I have 8 teachers. It is a P7 school. One teacher retires or dies, and there is a ban or delayed recruitment. Where does his or her workload go?
Divided among the remaining teachers.
Isn't that an increment of workload? Two, we have schools where, like secondary schools, you find only 6 teachers on payroll. There's no payment to cater for a private arranged teacher. Where do the workload of all those who are not yet recruited to occupy those vacancies go? It means if I was supposed to teach 40 lessons a week, I'm going to teach more. I'm going to be engaged from maybe P1, P2, P3, up to P5. Another one starts from there up to P7. That increases the workload. Then curriculum implementation has been actually blamed on the part of the teacher. But I want to inform you that one, if you remember well, a lot has been talked about the new curriculum implementation and the gaps in there. As we talk, only 35% were trained to handle that curriculum. And the training was given little time. Even those who are training did not know fully what they were doing. They could even testify. So if now you have a curriculum for a year, you call someone, you train him for 2 days, you are training 35% of the entire teaching force who are going to handle that curriculum. How do you expect the 65% to acquire the skills and the knowledge about how well they are going to interpret and implement the curriculum? The CPDs, if you blame them on the part of the teacher, whose responsibility is it to organize for the continuous professional development for teachers? Is it my role? So, the challenge I see is that some people who would be helping us to know better the challenges affecting the teachers where they are and communicate to them, at times seem not to be touched or related to the real situation. And situations where imagination has come up, we make errors and the beneficiaries lose on their part.
Okay.
I want to say, and I want to differ, and I must differ, from a situation where you are convincing me that money should not be talked about when we come to teaching. If money is not an issue, if payment is not an issue, what informed the decision of enhancing the salaries of others and leaving others? If money was not important, if payment or increment or salary enhancement was not important, what informed that decision?
Okay. So going to
the national teacher policy, I think the national teacher policy is very important and very useful to all of us as teachers, and the usefulness to us will translate into benefits to the learners and the entire country. Because when you look at that policy, the policy, if fully implemented, will help us to be leveled at the same level. And if we are leveled, and we know that the entry point for the teaching profession is this one, it means that even when we come to payments, issues of discrimination shall possibly be handled if it is fully implemented. Also, I have the optimism that it will be in a position of helping us train and produce teachers who are competent enough with the required skills to handle the teaching and learning processes. You know, lawyers say that they are learned friends. As teachers, we are not learned friends, we are learning friends. So learning on our part takes place from day to day.
Okay.
And we now have new challenges which were not there by the time some or majority of us trained. And therefore, when you look at the national teacher policy and its provisions, we are hopeful that we'll be in a position of bringing us to a level that is expected of
in that regard, when you say hopeful, and the theme for 2024 being, valuing the teacher's voice, what is your assessment of the teacher's voice being valued in things like policy, development and implementation, decision making? You
see, in most cases, most policies are brought when we are not involved. And the moment a policy is developed and it is going to affect a teacher, and that teacher is the one going to implement it, the implementation process becomes difficult. And therefore, it is essential that as key stakeholders in education, we should be in a position of participating in the making of some of the decisions which affect us. Nothing about us should be done without us.
Okay. On behalf of government, Mr. Chikomeko, valuing a teacher's voice, especially engaging them in key decision making, which is what you do on a ministerial level, it begs the question, how is government going to be moving towards this? Making sure that they hear the voice of the teacher, they engage the voice of the teacher, they consult the voice of the teacher, they dialogue with the voice of the teacher, if they're going to shape something that will be easy, friendly, and acceptable as a policy, as a regulation, as a law, for them to then carry forward the implementation.
Yeah, thank you so much, Priscilla. Valuing teachers' voices, as the theme says, towards a new social contract for education. Teachers are consulted. Their voices, we are renewing. We are just trying to promote it now, but it has been there. I remember when we started working on teacher policy, it stems back to 2010. Issues we're trying to find out issues, a number of issues. We moved up to 2019, but all through, teachers were being consulted. You say, which teachers? Teachers have representatives. Teachers are different levels. Teachers are consulted. But possibly, maybe what they air out, some of the things are not considered as per se. Because you may say, Now, teachers should be maybe provided with resources to continue, rather to take on programs to raise their competences. It's very critical. Everyone is aware of that. And it's taken, it is recorded. But then, how do we actualize that one, operationalize it? If we fail, then it appears as if the teacher's voice was not what? Considered. But all this is being taken into consideration. Whatever, because from my experience with the Ministry of Education, we have had a number of dialogues with the teachers. Charles is talking about the street dialogue. Many meetings have been held to ensure that the teacher, the voice is heard. We don't do things minus the teachers. We have had teachers come at the ministry. We listen in. I remember my experience when it came to the science teachers, those who were scraped off the science payroll. I led the delegation, we went to public service. I was with the teachers. I told my teachers, let's be calm. Okay? Their head is aware. It was a big group. So what I'm saying is that this one, the voices, is maybe we may go down, but sometimes even if we go down, teachers are sometimes discouraged. Don't go there. What are they going to say? But there are those who come and really listen in, and things are getting better. Things are getting better in the sense that, may I always say, where we were today is not where we were
yesterday.
Okay?
Okay.
So we are moving slowly.
All right.
And teacher issues are so many. There are so many that they cannot be addressed. And if you look at other sectors, let me say, other professions, if you enter there, you'll hear them cry. You go to the medical professions, they are crying. You go elsewhere, they are crying, okay? So everyone is crying.
Yeah, it doesn't give us the liberty to all of us cry.
So, but what I'm saying is that
all of us shouldn't be crying.
We shouldn't be crying.
Yes.
But teacher issues are actually being addressed.
Okay.
But the rate at which it's being done could be the one which is what?
That
slow.
is slow.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Going to a global partner, UNESCO, this particular year's theme, valuing the voice of the teacher. Why was it felt that this should be brought to the forefront? And then the element of towards a new social contract for education. What's the translation of that moving forward and looking into the future of education by and large in line with the teachers?
Yes, thank you very much, Priscilla, and once again, also people online. The theme this year, valuing teachers' voices towards a new social contract for education, is highlighting a few things that I think we will put in perspective. In any way, it doesn't mean that previously the voices of the teachers were not valued, or there was no contract, or there was no poor contract. But what it's saying is that when we say valuing the voices of teachers, it means, one, recognizing the teachers, but also it means empowering them. So the two of them must be taken the same way. Because recognizing them is appreciating them and, giving them that message that we appreciate what they're doing. But empowering them is an aspect that many of us, in most cases, do not talk about it. So empowerment can be in various ways. So it's not just enough to say, okay, we will hear your voices and so on. We recognize you are doing good. It's also to give them the skills, the knowledge, and the capacity to be able to negotiate their issues and to navigate. And that's to be intentional. So that's what this theme is highlighting. And so towards a new social contract for education is highlighting the fact that in the new era of education, we are moving and there are a lot of things that are happening at the same time. We are in a generation that is struggling to catch up in educating our children in a space that we have never seen before. We are in an artificial intelligence era. The space is becoming narrower even for the teachers and also for other professions as well. arguably you can say that what a teacher can do in the classroom in terms of skills and knowledge transfer can be obtained through artificial intelligence. So in that space, where do the teachers come? How do we now train and retool and refresh a teacher to fit in era of artificial intelligence? This is a new social contract. That's not something that we cannot ignore. I already spoke earlier on about the issue of the ICT in education transformation. How do we make sure that we use the digital space to be able to communicate to the teacher, also to the teacher to use the facility to be able to teach appropriately in the current era. So things like that, but deliberately empowering the teacher, giving the teacher the skills and the knowledge to navigate and to negotiate and to advocate, but also to take the new emerging issues, especially in a crisis in terms of artificial intelligence, ICT in education transformation. So this is a new space that is opening, and it really needs a lot of engagement with the teachers. And I think that now brings the issue that you raise on the aspects of the national teacher policy. How is it addressing? And besides what my colleagues have said, we need to highlight the fact that as a result of the teacher policy, we now have an establishment of the Uganda National Institute for Teacher Education, UNITE, which is an institute that is to address the quality issue of the teachers, including continuous professional development. What in simple terms means is that this institute will provide space to teachers to continuously upgrade themselves, to address the issue of the quality of the teacher, so that the teacher that goes to teach teaches using the same curriculum and he understands the curriculum that he's using and is also able to provide quality service. That is the mandate of the new institute, which is coming out of the national teacher policy. The other aspect, which is critically important also, is the establishment of the Teachers' Council, the National Teachers' Council, which will be a body to regulate the quality. It will be a gatekeeper, so to say, to ensure that people who enter in the profession are there to the code of conduct of the teachers, they are certified teachers, so that we do not just have anybody going to the classroom to teach. So things like that are efforts that are moving towards reforming teaching and the teaching profession. So these are all efforts Uganda is undertaking, which is towards ensuring that there is a new contract, there is a new social engagement, and there is a new way of doing things.
Okay.
Let's move forward.
As UNATU, how are we going to be embracing and working in line with this theme, valuing the teacher's voice towards a new social contract for education?
Yeah, you know, as Uganda National Teachers Union, we have always been ready, and we are ready. Our gates have always been open, so we don't deviate from that. We shall do our best to see it happen. Only that our prayer is the other key stakeholders also take it as a serious issue and look at it objectively, because its intention is to see us smoothly running our businesses for the benefit of the learners.
All right. You did raise your eyebrows when Mr. Chikomeko was talking about, engaging the voice of the teachers, and your eyebrows seemed to disagree with that. Could you speak into that?
Yes, because there are so many things, and it becomes a challenge when something is done or is brought. You sit, you say there is a problem, they don't hear the voice, they proceed for implementation. When it fails along the way, they blame the teacher. I have an example of this new curriculum. At different points in time, we engaged with the different key stakeholders, but most especially the NCDC. We indicated that there was no readiness for the implementation of this curriculum. They insisted. I told you they only trained 35%. Up to now, 65% has never been. They don't know what they are doing.
Okay.
2, we indicated that there were no instructional materials. It took long to see a few instructional materials, Sikante, going to the schools.
So in other words, government should first plan and have
As
every
we
tool
talk now,
necessary before they can roll out an implementation.
The first batch of the new curriculum is in Senior 4. I want us to be informed about how the extent to which the curriculum for Senior 5 has reached.
Okay.
And
today
if
is
it is
not
not
about the
there
curriculum.
today,
Yes.
If it is not there today, and we are now ending the term, when will training be?
Okay.
So those are examples of the issues which make us look at the situation and think or believe that yes, we are key stakeholders, but our voices are not being considered.
All right.
And now challenges come in, the blame is shifted to us.
And the burden.
And now we say now it is time for us to emphasize that our voices should be valued, and therefore we also participate actively in those issues, and subsequently when we move together after agreeing that we are moving, the implementation shall be easier and
All right.
smoother.
As we come to a conclusion of this dialogue, today is World Teachers' Day. And as the nation, how are we celebrating our teachers, Mr. Chikomeko?
Thank you so much, Priscilla. As a nation, that is Uganda, we join the rest of the world to celebrate. But for us, as Uganda, as a country, our celebrations are going to be conducted on or be held on the 19th of this month. And His Excellency has accepted to preside over, to be the chief guest with Mama, our minister. Okay. So we are ready, we are preparing, and the function will be very, very, very colorful. I welcome all the teachers. Those are invited to come and attend in large numbers to celebrate the World Teachers' Day.
Chairperson, where are the celebrations for today?
I'm happy to inform the viewers that World Teachers' Day celebrations for 2024, according to Uganda National Teachers Union, are in every local government.
Okay.
Every district, every city, every municipality, we have a celebration there. I take the honor, therefore, to invite all of you, because you are part of us, you are key stakeholders, to join us from the nearest celebrating center, such that we celebrate together our achievements, our contributions, and we plan together, we share together.
Okay.
You're also most welcome.
Thank you so much for the invitation. All right, as we come to the conclusion of this conversation, of course, you do have something that is a message to the teachers out there today. And this message is simple. By empowering teachers to fulfill their roles as transformative intellectuals and community leaders, we can build a resilient and equitable education system that serves the public good and uplifts the community as they do their work. The community, in this case, being the teachers, valuing their voices. To all the teachers out there, we love you so much and thank you so much for standing the tide of time in order to dispense education to the likes of me and the gentleman here before you. It brings us to the end of this conversation and this dialogue. Ebigambo tebita